Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed your coffee and ready for our next exciting session. Our next session is truly exciting, and I hope you're going to enjoy it as much as I know I will. Amid the expansive desert of Central Arabia, Bedouins wove their traditions into rhythmic expressions, transforming their way of life into a rich tapestry of music and performance. From their camels to the cadence of raids, these elements shaped lyrics, movements, and melodies that echoed across the region and beyond. The upcoming lecture, Camels, Expeditions and Pride, Najdi Bedouin Performance and its influence in the greater region, explores these enduring traditions and their influence on the musical heritage of the neighboring regions. It is my true honor to introduce Dr. Lisa Yurkovich, a distinguished scholar in Saudi music and heritage. Dr. Lisa has dedicated her career to exploring the rich and intricate cultural heritage of the kingdom and the wider region, with a particular focus on its music, performance, and oral traditions. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Lisa to the stage as she shares her insights with us.
Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I think it's a little... Okay, okay. Good afternoon. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. It's lovely to see all of you. I want to say a special thank you to Dr. Siddiqui and the DGS team. They've been just marvelous, and I think anybody here who's worked with them, can't say enough good about them. So thank you to the DGS team, I think. Yeah, as she was saying, I first came to Saudi Arabia in 1994. That's when I started to study Saudi music. I lived here 1994 to 1998. And then I was in Kuwait for 20 years. I was a professor at university, and I taught Saudi and Kuwaiti and Gulf music. And then came back here throughout the years and lived here off and on. Different things happen. So it's my passion. I'm really excited about it. And I think this is a wonderful topic. So when I saw the topic of this conference, trade and tradition, crossroads, the first thing I thought about is how did Najdi culture influence all these neighboring cultures? What a fantastic impact the Najd has had on all these other regions. And I really wanted to explore that a little bit. I'm going to talk kind of about two big concepts. One is a stereotypical or generalization about characteristics of performing arts in the Najd. And this is a short talk, so I'm going to make these generalizations. So you might say to me afterwards, well, my tribe doesn't do that, or my clan doesn't do that. And I would agree with you. I'm just, because I don't have a whole lot of time, I can't go into every little detail. So, but there's such diverse people here, I want to give a general background. And then after that, we'll talk about how these traditions traveled into other regions. So the Najd, a vast plateau that stretches from Ha'il in the north to beyond Wadi Dawasir in the south, and then from the Hijaz Mountains in the west to the Gulf states in the east. Throughout history, there have been frequent droughts and famines, which forced whole tribes and settlements to migrate north and east. So the Najd is this big plateau. It's the light green part. And the dark green are oases. Those are areas with water. So before oil wealth, those were really wealthy areas. And it's dominated by Bedouin tribes. And there are a lot of periods where there was terrible famine and drought. And people moved to the Gulf states. Also, the Gulf states, when they became more wealthy and involved with trade, and there were job opportunities. So Najdis moved to the Gulf states. You'll notice that Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar, the ruling families of Kuwait, Bahrain, and Qatar come from the Najd. So that's going to have a big impact on those cultures. And big families, I'm not going to name names, but big families in Kuwait, their ancestors come from the Najd. So the Najdi impact is huge for hundreds of years. In this area, you have Bedou and Hadar. Historically, Bedouin have dominated, but since time immemorial, Hadar communities, that's groups of sedentary farmers, craftspeople, and merchants, have lived alongside the Bedouin. Bedou and Hadar are juxtaposed in Arabic literature, even in pre-Islamic literature. Frequently, they were somewhat pitted against each other, and you hear these stereotypes old, hundreds of years. Hadar are settled people, agricultural people, are spoiled. They're weak, they're cowardly. Bedouin live a harder existence. They're strong, they're brave. And then there's stereotypes back and forth. I won't get into all of them. Regardless, the two groups did not live in isolation from each other. Settled people. The reason I'm mentioning Bedou and Hadar is because their music is different. If you identify as Bedouin, you have different type of music than if you identify as Hadar. And in Kuwait, there's another category called Grui, or that's the Kuwaiti dialect, Garawi, or whatever you'd say, for villagers. So you kind of have these three categories of music: Hadar, villagers, and Bedouin. And you have it here, and it depends on where you're sitting, how you view the other music. So in Kuwait, village music is very similar to Bedouin music, more so than Hadar music. But that's how you identify will impact the music or the rituals you have at your wedding or things like this. Settled people, when the Najd, we're back in the Najd, relied on Bedouins for protection. Bedouin would interact with townspeople for many needs, like when their own medical treatments failed, or if they wanted to supplement their diet. The lines between Bedou and Hadar are not always clear because the vast majority of settled people in the Najd and a great deal in the Gulf states claim Bedouin origin. Although it took place gradually, the shift from pastoralism to agricultural or urban life was a continuing process. Bedouin moved to fixed centers, mingled with a wider variety of peoples, developed sedentary habits. They became settled people. But regardless, they were always very proud of their tribal affiliation. Settled people were always proud of their Bedouin roots. So we're going to go here. It was a hard life. Okay, we go back 200 years. It was very difficult. There was a never-ending struggle for bare necessities. There were extreme fluctuations in rainfall. Food and water were scarce, and there was a constant fear of famine. Some Bedouin clans, 50% of their children died. That was 50% child mortality. A woman gave birth to 14 children, 7 would die. Really hard. Some groups, some communities would wear big leather belts underneath their clothes. And so when the pain from the hunger became too bad, they would just pull it another notch. And when the kid goes, "Mommy, I'm so hungry," just pull your belt another notch because there was no food. Very difficult life. It was dangerous. In the summer, when there was a shortage of water, people had to live near wells, and the young men had to take the camels out far away in order to graze. And they were alone out there with just, these camels, and they could come under constant attack. And the picture on the left, that's a Bedouin visiting the missionary hospital in Kuwait. And like I said, they would interact with Hadar during certain times. And normally they wore 9 braids in their hair. This is just a fun fact. 2 in the front, 6 around the back, and 1 down the middle. If you are Northern Bedouin, like, I don't want to name the tribe. But anyway, so when they would come into town, they would plug their noses because they believed that sweet smells prohibited your wounds from healing. He has a broken arm. I don't know if you can see, it's in a sling. And he's stuffing his nose so he doesn't, because other people smell sweet, and you don't smell that because your wounds won't heal. You'll become, weak. So this is why he's doing that. But it was a hard life. So in this environment, what is valued? Well, let me go back. Number 1, camels. Camel was crucial for survival of the Najdi Bedouin. In the harsh desert, the camel was the gift of God. A camel's milk was the staple of a Bedouin diet. Its syrupy urine was drunk for its healing properties or rubbed on wounds. Its droppings provided fire and cooking fuel, and its undercoat was used to weave ropes, bags, clothes, The honor of the tribe was measured by the number of its herds, which provided substantial income to Bedouin when they would go up to Damascus and sell them. In this harsh, difficult environment, it's no wonder the word for beautiful in Arabic derives from or is directly connected to the word for camel. I can't stress how remarkable that is. Beautiful, the language all Arab speakers use, beautiful, is tied to camel. When you look out, what's the most beautiful thing in my environment? It's this animal that keeps me alive, that keeps my family, gives us sustenance. So this animal is going to influence you and influence your lives. Certain things are going to influence that. The Najd, where we're standing right now, is the mother of all camels. 1815, Burckhardt called the Najd the mother of all camels. And here that word beautiful is tied to this animal. So that really tells you a lot about these cultures, this old culture. Okay, so you value camels and ghazawat, expeditions. So somebody comes, they steal your camels, you have to go back into their encampment and take them back. And Bedouin tribes viewed this you didn't fight to the death, you did it like for sport. So when you would go in, you wouldn't attack women or children, sleeping people, old people, sick people. They're fine. You would just attack the other men and try to get your camels back. They knew these were the rules of war, and the Europeans learned, right, about chivalry and how to behave during war from these experiences with people here. So this is really important, this expedition. And poems, if you live in a culture, I don't have a piano, I don't have a paintbrush, how can I be creative? How can my mind? Nobody can take away my words, my mind. You know, there's 255 words for camel because a good poet will take his time and pick just the right word and be very creative. And then that poem is a creative outlet. It also carries history because there's a lot of history in poems. And then they're gifts. And don't forget, all poems were sung because you remember words much better when you sing them. So these are songs. And then you could give somebody a gift as a song. This is a poem that was given to a young warrior. O valiant emir, who's not afraid to graze herds in the spots of danger. You're the protector of the oppressed people who seek refuge in you. And some communities, when you got married, your mother would write a poem for you. And that was a poem you carried for your whole life. And it was beautiful words that she wrote about you. It was the most lovely gift because you don't want material goods. It could break, you could lose them. But a poem, forever you'll have it. Oh, and the important thing about the poem was you had Najdi, praising. I'm going to praise you in it. That's very important to the culture. Whether you're praising your tribe, your group, whatever, praising is important. Out of all this comes a sense of competition. Because if I'm involved with expeditions with other tribes, if I've scarce resources, I'm writing poems that praise people. Well, if I'm praising my tribe, you're praising your tribe, so we're competing. Who's better, my tribe or your tribe? So this generates this sense of competition. And then all of this ends up manifested, represented in the music. So competition first, when you see folk arts, Najdi folk arts, you'll get two lines of people facing each other. And this line wants to beat that line. I want to do better than you. I want to perform better than you. The performers that are in the middle of the line are better than the ones on the ends. I want to one day get to the middle. Even women dance alone. But when they dress for a wedding, they look beautiful. Tonight I do battle. I look great. And I'm going to take on those other women. And it's not a dance for it's a le'eb. I mean, you play. You don't dance, you play. I compete like sport. So this is built into the arts that we're going to see. All these musical arts you're going to see in the Najd have this group arts, not solo arts, but group arts have this sense of competition. So let's just take a look at Arda Najdiya. Arda Najdiya is called Tarath. Historically, it's Tarath. Arda and Samri, they're heritage arts, and they're really special. They're not like anything else. They have a 6-beat pattern. Let's see if I can go forward. And they use these drums, the tathlith on the left and the takmir. Tathlith from the word thalatha, 3. It plays a 6-beat pattern. Anytime you have music with 3s or 6, it's more formal, it's refined, it's dignified, it's got a smoothness to it. In Europe, the waltz, you dance to a waltz, it's in 3/4 time. Arda, Samri Thakil, these are Tarath musics, and they play this 6-beat pattern. So I have to get the video to play. Two times one drum, 2, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2.
Well, they're not going to have as many back courses. In the golf, they're not going to have
Okay, so you see this beautiful, it's spectacle, Arda Najdiya. You wear dagla clothing, you have the long sleeves coming out, the cross belts, swords, the drums have tassels. So it's very beautiful and ornate and spectacle. It's a spectacle. Now, when the Najdis moved to the Gulf states, it changed. This is, in fact, a point of acculturation. You love your culture. You want to take it with you. When you've ever been to the hotel in London, you hear Muhammad Abdu down the hall and people are burning Bakur, right? I mean, love it. You take your culture with you. But it modifies. It modifies because of the environment you're in. And so when these Najdis move to the Gulf states, to Kuwait or Bahrain or other Gulf states, Arda becomes modified. This is called Arda Bariya. It's a land Arda, and they use a different drum. You'll see this drum in the right, it's called Unsayfi in Kuwait, or Nasifi. And this is King Abdulaziz in 1937. He's playing that same drum, his band. So it's actually a really old style of tathlith. It's an old style of that drum that plays 3. But when it went to Kuwait, they never modified it and put it on a stick and added all these tassels. They kept it in its old way. So this is Arda. It's going to not look as spectacular, but it's just as meaningful. This is Arda Bariya, in Kuwait. Let's watch a little. Okay, we have men in the back lines, just like Arda Najdiya. They go up like this. This is a riding motion, right? Your camel, and camel's called the ship of the desert because it rocks back and forth. So you've got this physical movement of that. You have pride, whether it's Kuwaiti or Najdi, you've got this pride, this Madi, we love our country, we love our tribe. You have competition. There were 2 lines of men. You have all these things, but you don't have swords to the extent. Kuwait is a merchant, was founded by the merchant class. They're businessmen, so they don't have as many. In the 60s and 70s, you would see swords in their Arda, but in more current times, you don't. So this is called Arda Bariya, land Arda in Kuwait. And you have to call it land Arda because the sea, and people along the Gulf, the sea dominates their culture. So there's tons of sea musicians because all the pearl diving boats had professional musicians. So there's Arda for the sea too. So they want to designate, hey, this is land Arda in Kuwait. Sea bands use different instruments. They'll use this tabla bahri, the drum on your left, and then they'll also use the itar, this frame drum. The frame drum is like a frame, right? It's just like it only has skin on one side. The tathlit, the old traditional tathlit, has skin on both sides. So that's called a tabl. This one is called a tar. A frame drum will only have skin on one side, like a picture frame. Now, this is a famous type of artha you find in the Gulf states, artha amiria, and it uses this instrument. It's a C artha, but they add this little ching-ching instrument called twisat or tusat. C people, Gulf people love this ching-ching sound. It's an idiophonic sound, and they add it to a lot of music. So this is a Bahraini artha amiria. Qatar royal family comes from the Najd, love artha. It'll look a little like Najdi artha. You have the dagla, you got the cross swords, you have swords, but they are also on the sea, and they're really famous musicians or really skilled musicians are sea musicians, so they're unusual. This artha is a grand artha held on the beach near the sea. The musicians are sea musicians, but they have they have cashmere shmug. And then the men performing are doing more traditional movements. So there's 6 beat. No matter where it is, it still has great meaning. It's heritage. That group, Al-Adamar, has been around for 150 years. Whether they're doing identical Najdi artha or their own acculturated version, it's heritage. The old rule about heritage was it had to be 50 years old. That means it survived several generations, and you want to teach it into the future. So these are 100% heritage arts for these cultures, for these regions. This is things they want their children to learn, things to go on. Okay, what about women? What about women's music? So in Kuwait, the most famous zepha is a song called Habasad, Happiness is Coming. And it's got this unusual rhythm. And it's performed for a woman's zepha, like when she's getting married, she's wearing her gown and she's coming down the aisle. And it's got this 6-beat rhythm. And when I'd ask people, what is that? They'd say, Najdi. What is that iqra, rhythmic mode? Najdi. And don't forget, 6 is elegant and beautiful, and anything in 6 or 3s is refined, so it's great for a wedding. And Kuwaitis turn their J's into Y's, so it's Najdi. The name of the rhythm is Najdi for this. Now, I'm not going to be able to stop and go back, so I want to teach you this rhythm, and I want you to clap along with me to do it. Okay, so Habasad, it's 6 beats. Now, when you drum, you have a low sound called doom and a high sound called tek. Tek is higher pitch than doom. the faster something vibrates, the higher the pitch. So little kids have high vocal cords because they're short and they go fast, and men have deep voice. So the lower your drum is in the middle, and the higher part is on the rim. So it's 6 beats. You see on the left, doom, 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 tack, tack, S. And S means be quiet. So we're going to go doom, 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 tack, tack, shh, doom. But you don't have drums, so what are we going to do? So you're going to take your hands, okay, this is your doom, 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 tack, 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 flip it upside. It's a higher pitch. Doom, 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 tack, tack, shh, doom, doom, doom. Okay, good. Here we go. It's a little intro. I didn't know I couldn't. Where did that come from? The only rhythm we have that's similar, that survives, would be Samri and Neza. Samri means it's love, so it's okay, make love. But don't look what they're doing. What they're doing is nothing like a woman's wedding zephyr. This is in Qasim, up near Qasim, and this is beautiful. They rock their bodies in motion, they do all these things, but their rhythm is harder. Look at this, guys. Doom, tack, doom, S, tack, S. Ready for that one? Doom, tack, doom, shh, tack, shh. Doom, tack, doom, shh, tack, shh. Doom, tack, doom, shh, tack. Doom, tack, doom, tack. Let's try it. You're not as enthusiastic. Beautiful, beautiful. I don't have anything else to say, but this heritage is so important. I hope it survives. It has meaning. It's passed down. It's not just an aesthetic. It's not, oh, I like that sound, let me add it with a hip hop song or something. It has deep, deep, deep meaning. And in Kuwait, they call it fana sil. If you're at a wedding and one of these songs come on, grandma will smack you and say, pay attention. That's fana sil. You treat this with respect, these songs. And so I hope it continues, because Saudi Arabia is an important country. I hope it continues to grow and flourish and is taught. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful art. And thank you very much. Hi.
For an incredibly thought-provoking talk. We always think about like academic theory empirical research within like a library, within our, academic offices, but it's so refreshing and fascinating to see it in the real world and to see what it looks like. Thank you so much for giving us that experience. Thank you. We will enjoy a 1-hour lunch break and we'll reconvene in 1 hour. Thank you so much.